Good evening, students. Welcome back to ECAL Academy. So let's continue with the BST session. Today we are going to discuss about barriers to communication. So let me share the screen. So already we discussed about the directing chapter. In that, one of the concept that is there are 4 elements in that. The one is supervision, that is not in your syllabus, and second is motivation. Yesterday we discussed about need hierarchical theory by Abraham Maslow. Then after that it comes leadership, then comes communication. While we are discussing in an organization, communication is one of the most important aspects. So many communications sometimes not are up to the expected level of the organization. That is also another reason not to achieve the target. So there can be effective communication should be there. If the communication is not effective, it may affect the achievement of the goal or target. So let's see what are the barriers. Why the communications are not effective? There are various barriers if we discuss about the barriers of effective communication. Which are they? Let's see in the screen that there are semantic barriers. You can see on the screen that semantic barriers. Then comes psychological barriers, the number 2. After that, it comes organizational barrier, then comes personal barrier. So you can easily remember that SPOP. What is S? S means semantic barrier. This is comparatively easy. Then psychological barriers. Then comes organizational barrier. This is a very important aspects from the board examination question viewpoint. Personal barrier is the last one. So let's see that in that each, what type of barriers you can see in semantic barriers. There you can see 6 points. Badly expressed message, symbol with different meanings, faulty translation, unclarified assumptions, technical jargon, body language, and gesture decoding. Psychological barrier, you can see only 4 type of barriers: premature evaluation, lack of attention, loss by poor retention, distrust. Again, organizational barriers, you can see 5 points: organizational policy, rules and regulation, status difference, complex organization, organizational facilities. Coming into the personal barriers, lack of confidence, lack of incentives, fear of authority, unwillingness to communicate. So let's discuss each in detail. If we take all this all together, there are 4 types in under you are going to learn 19 subheadings. Here in the first one, how many points? 6, then 4 points, then it comes 5 points, then comes again 4 points. Okay. So you should understand, then only you can. If you once you understand, it is very easy to learn. Any type of hurdle, block, or bottleneck in the path of communication is called barriers to effective communication. So your keywords while you crack the case study, explain the concept discussed in the given case. So what you will take, it can be a hurdle. Communication is not appropriate, or it can be blocked. The parties are not able to understand each other. Or bottleneck in the path of communication is always, it is called as barriers to communication, not able to understand. In that first one, let us discuss semantic barrier. What do you mean by that? The word semantic means the meaning of words and sentences. Somewhere we are not able to understand the meaning of word, or we are not able to understand the entire meaning of the sentence. People interpret the same message in different ways, depending upon their attitude, experience, education, etc. There are various words also that, sometimes we get confused. We may not be able to understand the meaning of the word. So we get confused. So people interpret the same message in different ways. Sometimes we write and we send a message, but putting the comma, semicolon, etc., that entirely will change the meaning of a particular message. Okay. So attitude, experience, education, depending on. Here you can see that bat. Agar hum cricket bat bhi le lo, ya to it is a bird also. So same word it can be boat and boat. I am pronouncing it as boat. I mean that BOUGHT. But somewhere my opposite party understand it as boat. Caught, bye. All these are confused while we communicate or speak. Reasons for semantic barriers. So already I discussed there are how many reasons? 6 reasons are there. So first let us explain about the badly expressed message. What do you mean by this? Due to wrong words or inappropriate word. कभी कभी कहते wrong word होगा या तो inappropriate. I bought a boat. So people maybe here also they understand wrongly. Here also wrongly they are understanding due to wrong words or inappropriate words. That comes badly expressed message. I bought a car. देखो I bought a car. Here what they are written? I bought a car में BOT. So instead of I bought a car. So that can happen. So badly expressed message. Sometimes while we writing, our intention was to write BOUGHT, but we have written BOAT. Then the opposite team will be getting confused or complex. They will be thinking, what is this? Symbol with a different meaning. That is another symbol with a different meaning. A word or a symbol are having different meaning. कभी कभी एक word आजकल है ना thumbs up, it has a very much elaborate meaning. Thumbs up means good हो सकता है या तो it can be success, motivation, or all the work done we show it as finished. That all can be. So fine, second, etc. have different meanings in the different context. I am fine. I have fine quality. I am fine is different. I am fine quality is different. Second has different meaning in different context. Okay. If I take that, I got a second prize, but I purchased a second hand car. So the meaning is different, right? This way. So we are discussing about the first one, barriers to communication. Effective communication के लिए क्या-क्या barriers है? The first one is semantic barriers. What is the meaning of the semantic barriers? That means we are not able to understand the meaning of word or sentence. So first one is badly expressed message. I bought a bot. I am sending a message to someone, but instead of I bought what I will write I bought. Here also I bought a car. Bought की जगह में I bought a car. So that way we get confusion. Now symbols with a different meaning. Same word has different meaning. That can also be. Faulty translation, that is the third one, from one language to another, transferring, translating from English to Hindi, Hindi to English, it can be from one language to another. So that, always it happens from English to Hindi, they transfer. Sometimes the meaning entire will change. Reasons for semantic barriers may now, fourth one is unclarified assumption. What do you mean by unclarified assumption? Not giving clear and specific instruction. You are not, here you see, take care of guest. What do you mean by this? To the boss, it means travel, accommodation, food, etc. Our guest is coming in the organization. We have to take their travel details, where to go, how to arrange the vehicle, where they have to be, their stay facility, accommodation, food, what type of food during, all these 3 times, all this. But here you see, whereas the subordinate may interpret it as the guest should be taken to the hotel with care. वो बोलेंगे कार में से ना while they getting down should take care, like that they misunderstand. Here the guest has to suffer a lot, and then who will be ultimately suffering? The guest will be suffering. That is unclarified assumption. Take care of guest is the best example, and in many case study the same word is there, so you should be aware about the same. So faulty translation means from one language to another, symbol with a different meaning, badly expressed message. I hope you are clear with all these 4 points. Let's go to the next point, body language and gesture decoding. That also, if what is said and what is expressed through body movement and gestures differ, communication may be wrongly perceived. Yes or no? You also know that. Sometimes you see that, okay, I'm speaking about the performance of the organization is not good. So that time, naturally what will come? There will be a serious discussion will be there. But in between, if we are speaking something, not good to the organization. But meanwhile, what is happening? Our gesture is not supporting that feeling. We are in a very relaxed way, in a very light mood, then definitely whatever we communicate, the effectiveness, the subordinates may not be getting its effectiveness, or they may not be serious with the discussion. So body language and gesture decoding is very important on the basis of the topic what we discuss or communicate. So if what is said and what is expressed, आप बोल रहे कुछ and express कर रहे कुछ, so that if both are differ, communication may be wrongly perceived. Our subordinate may not be taking the communication in proper way. We are not able to properly communicate. Otherwise, the seriousness of the discussion or the communication may be zero. That's all. Again, it is given here, reasons for semantic barriers. We can see all the points. Badly expressed message, symbol with a different meaning, faulty translation, unclarified assumption, body language, and gesture decoding. See that diagram. I am coming back to the diagram. You can see the diagram again. My diagram, you can see. Now, one more we have to discuss technical jargon. What do you mean by technical jargon? While we communicate, there may be some words that is technical word. If I speak about a computer, there can be mouse. That mouse, and there was a mouse at my home, nobody was there. Mouse destroyed everything at my home. So that meaning and the mouse of a computer both are different. So that technical jargon people may not be knowing, so they will not be able to understand the mouse of a computer. That's all, right? That is the point we have to discuss again, technical jargon. So I hope all the 6 points are clear to you. Now coming into the next one, psychological barriers. What do you mean by psychological barriers? So there are 4 barriers in the effective communication. First one is what? First one is the semantic barriers. I think all the 6 points are clear to you. Psychological barrier. What is that? Emotional or psychological factors which act as a barriers to communicator are called that is always affecting our emotions. That is affecting psychologically. Angry mood, troubled mind. We are disturbed with some other thing in our mind. But meanwhile, we have to present the whatever the topic in a very pleasant way also. So inside we are not happy, psychological barrier. Premature evaluation. That is the first one. What do you mean by it? Here the receiver comes to conclusion without fully going through the message. Suppose your boss is sending a message to the subordinate. Sometimes what the subordinate will do, subordinate is sending a message to the superior or the boss, but they are not reading the entire message. Before that only, they are evaluating that message, premature evaluation. So again, lack of attention. So your boss is speaking continuously to you, but you are not paying attention. There comes lack of attention. Suppose an employee explains his problem to a manager while he is very busy with the preparation of a report for a superior. He will be less attentive. You can also know he is preparing something and but the manager is doing some work to submit to his superior, some report or any detailed information he may be. Meanwhile, one of his subordinate is coming and speaking to something. Then definitely the manager will be very less attentive because he is focused on that report and does not grasp the message, and the employee get disappointed. So what the employee feel, manager is ignoring me. Actually, manager is engaged with some important work. So here manager will not be able to pay attention. So that is lack of attention. Next one, premature evaluation is the first one. So it is entirely psychological aspect. Okay. Next one is loss by transmission and poor retention. Yes, children. Loss by transmission and poor retention. When a communication is passed through various levels, there is a possibility of loss of communication. From top level to bottom level, the message is communicated. So what can happen? A portion of the message can be not reaching up to the bottom level. What do you mean by that? Suppose tomorrow there will be a meeting. Tomorrow there will be a meeting at 12:30. There will be a meeting at 12:30 p.m. in the boardroom. Okay, this is the message. So from top level, so it is coming into the middle level. They are also passing this, but in the bottom level, from the the office executive to the supervisor to the any other level, it comes to the, then what can happen? There can be the time may be skipped sometimes, or venue may be skipped. This can happen, or they will not be giving importance to tomorrow. Tomorrow your day, the date, or whatever mentioned. It can happen when a communication is passed from top level to bottom level. Various levels are included. There is a possibility of loss in communication. Few informations can be missing. That can happen. Similarly, people cannot retain all that is received as information for a long time. Somewhere lack of memory, shortage. So if they are inattentive or not interested, what they will do? Poor retention will be there. They are inattentive. They are not having any interest. That time also it can happen. So loss by transmission and poor retention is one of the very important point while a case study is there. Next one is distrust if the sender and receiver do not believe each other, they cannot understand message in true sense. Suppose superior is not having any trust on the subordinate, what will happen? The superior will not pass all the communication properly to the subordinate. Sender and receiver don't believe each other. There is no trust in between them. They cannot understand message. So superior is passing a half of the message or very big message. Then what is happening? The subordinate will not be able to understand That is one of the another task. Distrust. So we can see that reasons for psychological barriers. What are they? The reasons for psychological barrier: premature evaluation, lack of attention, loss by transmission, poor retention, and distrust. I hope this much you are clear to understand. So that's about the psychological barrier. I hope all the 4 points are clear to you. Moving into the next barrier, that is organizational barrier. What do you mean by this? This is one of the most important barrier in the effective communication. The complex organizational barrier or the complex organizational structure with scalar chain restrictive free and frequent communication. What do you mean by that? In the organization, there is a scalar chain. Scalar chain means from top to bottom to whom we have to report. That there comes a scalar chain. So from the top to bottom, sometimes in some organization, there the structure of that scalar chain will be very complex. Complex organizational structure with scalar chain trusted. Because of that, the hierarchical level or the structure of that scalar chain will become very complicated. Because of that, free and frequent communication will not happen. Too many levels may cause delay and distortion in message. There are from top to bottom, there are minimum 3 to 5 levels or 3 to 5 levels, various hierarchy level. What is happening? From one level to another level to reach into the communication or to pass a message from top level to this, top level to these various levels through that into the bottom level, there can happen distortion in the message. Message will not be reaching, message can be delayed, message can be short, minimized, etc., etc. To overcome this barrier, management may permit horizontal and diagonal communication. There they can sometimes what they can also do, horizontal communication also. From one section head, suppose here purchase department and here comes stores department. So there can be a horizontal communication can also happen. Or kabhi direct diagonal communication. Under, this is stores department, okay? Stores department when there are 3 managers. Manager 1 and manager 1, manager 2, manager 3. So here you see purchase head directly can communicate with the stores department manager. That is called the diagonal communication. Normally how it should be horizontal. It should be horizontal. But here instead of horizontal, to avoid that delay, they can have a diagonal communication also. I hope you are able to understand whatever we discuss. Coming into the next one. So this is about the organizational barrier. The complex organizational structure, the level, hierarchy level will be too much, different levels, so much complicated. Because of that, there can be a delay and distortion in the communication, or the messages may not be reaching proper time. Even though if it reach on proper time, there can be a distortion in the message will be shortened. So what is the only thing to avoid that type of barriers? Horizontal and diagonal communication they can do. Next, in that different type of barriers, kya hai? Organizational policy is the one of the barrier. What do you mean by that? If an organization is highly centralized, that all the decisions are taken by one person, that is called highly centralized way. It is not supportive to free flow of communication. Here you can see this is highly centralized. Everyone is coming and asking, everybody wants to get an instruction from the centralized person. So it is not supportive to free flow of communication. It will not be possible only because the people have to wait for a long time to get their turn. There comes a delay. Rules and regulations. Communication strictly through the chain of command may cause delay. Communication strictly through the scalar chain from one level to second level. There are 5 levels. So the top one first level se kaam par jayenge. Second level, from that it will go to third level, then go to fourth level, right? It will go. So it is strictly they are following this chain. From 1 it will go to 2 only. From 2 it will go to 3 only. And from 3 it will go to 4. Strictly if they follow, the command may cause delay. Suppose this 2 is out of station, then 1 will wait until till this 2 level 2 manager or officer, whoever may be, till their presence, they will be waiting. So automatically what can be there? Delay can be there. That is rules and regulations strictly follow through scalar chain. There can be delay in the communication. We are discussing organizational structure or what are the organizational barriers. The number 1 is organizational policy. Number 2 is rules and regulations. And number 3 is status. What do you mean by here status? Some superiors may not be ready to talk freely with the subordinate. Similarly, subordinate also not feel confident to talk freely with the superiors. Kabhi this can happen. The superiors are, they are not ready to talk freely with the subordinate. Subordinates, they won't consider them. They will not be considering them, so they will not be communicating with them properly. The same way, subordinate will also have a fear. They will not be, talking freely with their superiors. They pass information what superior would like to hear and hold back unpleasant fact. That only. So sometimes what will happen? They pass information what superior. If there are 3 messages and 2 are very positive, so this negative message, this subordinate will not pass to superior because they know. So for example, there is a sudden loss in the or sudden shutdown of the machine due to the faulty or mistake by an employer, worker. Then what can happen? Worker is so scared. He know that this is not an unpleasant, it is not a pleasant thing. It is an unpleasant thing. Definitely my superior won't like it. So what he will do? He will hold back such type of information because of distrust, because of status, because he has that fear that my superior will be scolding me. Because of this type of issue, there can be a communication barrier in organization. So first we discussed, the first point is what? Organizational policy. Support, the highly centralized roga, every instruction they are getting from the one person. There can be delay. Second is rules and regulations strictly follow. Then they are following definitely the hierarchical structure only from one to another. They won't break that link or chain. Next is status. They are not mutually talking freely, or they are not communicating each other very freely. So what the superiors would like to hear that type of information. Who will be holding back? The subordinate. Reasons for organizational barrier. The last one is complexity in the organizational structure. Too many levels in the management may cause delay and distortion. Again, the same thing. Too many levels are there from top to bottom. There are 5 levels. The messages will be getting delayed from top to bottom. There can be distortion. The long message will be shortened after reaching into from or passing through these various 5 to 6 levels. Next one, organizational facilities. The one more point is there. Organizational facilities. If proper facilities are not provided, such as intercom, public addressing system, complaint box, suggestion box, etc., the communication may not flow freely. If proper facilities are not provided, such as intercom. Kabhi kya hote hai, there is a big organization, there is no intercom facility. So the people want to move from one place to another. Public addressing system may not be there. Like that, the assembly area, meeting room, etc. Complaint box may not be there. Suggestion box may not be there. The communication may not flow freely. That time also, the communication may not be freely flowing. There can be a delay in the communication. I hope you are able to understand whatever we discussed. Definitely, organizational barriers are not an easy task if you go through the case study. Right, children? Now, let's see that the reasons for organization, all points are written together. Organizational policy, rules and regulations, status, complexity in the organizational structure. Then comes organizational facility for communication. That is the meaning here. That is intercom hona chahiye, public addressing system, complaint box, suggestion block. Because of all this, what is happening? There can be a rapid communication. Immediately they can get the impact, the remedy or the solution also. So I hope you are clear with all these points. We are discussing the barriers to effective communication system. In that barriers to effective communication system, the first one is semantic barrier. There we discussed all the 6 points. After that, we discussed about the psychological barriers. 4 points we discussed. Now it is coming the organizational barriers. What are organizational barriers? I hope you are clear with this also. Now moving into the last one, that is personal barriers. What do you mean by personal barriers? These are the personal factors, of both the sender and the receiver. There are so many personal factors of both the sender and receiver. दोनों का हो सकता है. First one, fear of challenge to authority. If a superior feels that a particular communication may adversely affect his authority, he will hold it and suppress it. Somewhere क्या होता है, subordinate may be reporting to him. But a superior feels that this communication, if I inform my top level management, It may affect my own authority. They will be questioning me why it happened or why there is a wastage in the factory area. So what the superior will do? He will hold it and suppress it. Yeah, so he will not pass that information to the top level. These, the section heads, etc. Section head means there are various sections in the organization, production department, sales department, finance department. So what they will do, they will not pass that from that particular department to the top level. They will hold it or they will suppress it. Main reason is fear of challenge to authority. Next one is lack of confidence. That is one of the other important aspects. Children, 1 minute. So children, the camera was not responding. Okay. So let's see that lack of confidence. Some superior will never take into confidence their subordinates. Say they always, humiliate them, harass them. They will not respect the subordinates. That is another reason, lack of confidence. Next one is unwillingness to communicate. Subordinates may also be unwilling to, not only from the superiors. Superiors may be hiding something. They will not be reporting some information, that will be that will be affecting their authority. So in the same way, the subordinate may also be unwilling to communicate with their superiors on the fear that it will adversely affect their interest. So the same feeling who will also have the subordinates. So they feel that my superior will scold me, etc., etc. If there is no, next one is lack of proper incentive. If there is no reward or appreciation for the suggestions of subordinate, they will not ready to communicate. Always our subordinate what they want. They also want to get appreciation or suggestion. Then they will not be ready to communicate because every time they are giving some good suggestions or some good ideas to their manager or the superior, but the superiors are never giving any reward. They are not even appreciating them. That time what will happen? These subordinate will not be ready to communicate. That is one of the important point. So fear of challenge to authority. Here who will do? The superior will be doing. They have enough fear of their challenge to their authority. Lack of confidence. Who will not be confident? The subordinates. Subordinates are not confident, and some superiors will never take into confidence of subordinate. They will demotivate their subordinates. That's all. Okay. Coming into the next point. What is the next point? Unwillingness to communicate. Here, who will not be communicating? The subordinate will not be communicating to the superiors. Lack of proper incentive because subordinates are giving ideas, suggestions, good suggestions वगैरह, but never the superiors. Superiors they never appreciate. वो appreciate नहीं करेंगे, कोई reward नहीं करेंगे, award नहीं करेंगे. Because of all this, they will be stopping giving the ideas. They will not communicate only. वो सोचेंगे जाने दो, what to do. Like that thinking comes to the mind of the subordinate. So that is not good for the growth of organizations. I hope you are able to understand whatever we discussed. Again, we are into the same diagram. Barriers to effective communication. All these are equally important. So let's see again in this one. Semantic, psychological, organizational, personal barriers. Semantic barrier में badly expressed message can be symbol with a different meaning, faulty translation, unclarified accent, technical jargon. What is technical jargon? Technical names. Both language and gesture coding, speaking something, but according to your body language is speaking something else. Then coming into the psychological barrier, premature evaluation. That that whatever we are not hearing the entire thing, before that we evaluate ourselves. Lack of attention, loss by poor retention also, not able to remember because they are not interested. Distrust between the superior and subordinate. There comes psychological barriers. Organizational policy, sometimes rules they are strictly following from the each level of hierarchy. Status difference maybe, that also another reason. Complex organization, large organizational structure can be another reason. Organizational facilities like intercom, public, address meeting place, etc. That is not there. So there can be a delay in the communication. Personal barriers may lack of confidence, subordinate and the superior. Superior never appreciate, they always degrade the subordinates. So the subordinates are not confident. So they will not be able to communicate properly. Lack of incentives. उनको कुछ appreciation नहीं मिल रहे. Whenever they give new ideas, there comes lack of incentives. Fear of authority. Here, who has the fear of authority? The superior feel that okay, if I speak or if I openly communicate this to my manager, what can happen? Or my top level, that will they will then it can affect my authority, it can affect my designation. So because of that fear, superior may not be communicating properly to the top level management. Unwillingness to communicate. Sometimes the bottom level or the subordinates, they have a fear of their superior authority. So they will not be communicating effectively. These are the various types of the barriers in the effective communication. Just to go through, if any doubt, you can ask me. Now, children, let's continue with the personal barriers. So let's recapitulate again all the three barriers. So the three barriers, four barriers, that is the first one is semantic barrier, then it comes the psychological barrier, then comes organizational barrier, then lastly it comes the personal barrier. So see that all the subheadings also, I hope you are clear. You should be clearly, you should know that what is badly expressed message. They are not able to express the message in the way they have written. A message is going, there may be a comma missing, a word missing, symbol with the different meanings. So if there is a thumbs up, it means there can be, motivation, completed the work, all this can be, different meanings can be, faulty translation from one language to another language, the messages are transferred or translated, unclarified assumption, the messages are not clear, unclarified assumption, before reading the message only, they are making their own assumptions. Technical jargon, few on the words of few technical words or the terms may not be clear with the meaning. Body language, speaking something, but the body language is not supporting what they speak. Then comes psychological barrier, premature evaluation. Without understanding the entire meaning, they themselves, evaluate. Then comes the lack of attention. They are not giving attention because the manager is engaged with some other work and the subordinate is coming and speaking something to him. Manager is not at all interested what he is speaking because he is totally focused on whatever he is doing. So here, who is getting demotivated? The subordinate. He feel that manager is not listening me. Lost by poor retention because manager is not interested. Maybe subordinate may be coming and talking or discussing about their leave. The subordinate wants to get a leave for 1 week, and manager is not interested in that matter only, or the subordinate is coming and speaking about his health issues. Manager is not interested. That is called again loss by poor retention. Sometimes manager is engaged in his own personal work. Subordinate is speaking something about their performance of the employees or any factory matter. Manager is not listening. Even though he listen, he is not focused. So there is a poor retention. Distrust can be, there is no mutual trust between the superior and subordinate can be. Organizational policy. Here comes organizational policy. Because of that, what is happening? They are not able to speak openly. Rules and regulations they strictly follow. Organizational policy, one more thing will come, the complex organizational structure. Because of that, the movement or the flow of communication from top to bottom can get delayed. Status difference. Now, sometimes status difference, superior and subordinate. Superior will not share all the thing with subordinate because of their level in the level of hierarchy level. Complex organization, again comes the complex hierarchy level comes there. Organizational facilities are not there to communicate smoothly, like intercom, public speaking or addressing system, etc. Lack of, next one, personal barrier, lack of confidence, lack of incentive, fear of authority, unwillingness to communicate. Who will be unwilling? The subordinate. Now let's see that here few MCQs are there. Then after that, you can see few case study questions are there. Let's try to answer one by one. So what will come here? Here you can see that the first one is, which of the following is not semantic barrier? You have to focus here, then you will be answering. So there are so many things. Let's see that lack of attention will come or not. Premature evaluation will come. Distrust. We are discussing about the semantic barrier. Is not semantic. Lack of attention will come under which? इसमें से कौन सा आप देखिए, lack of attention is coming where? I will erase all these things. So you can see that lack of attention is coming where? It is coming in the psychological barrier. Okay, so that is not a semantic barrier. Okay. Now again, next one is premature evaluation comes under which? You can see here premature evaluation is coming under where you can see again psychological barrier. Distrust with psychological barrier mein. So what is the answer? All of the above. All of the above is the answer. So other all are not the answer. I hope you are able to understand this, the answer. All of the above. Next one, lack of proper incentive is what type of barrier? Just now we discussed that proper incentive nahi de rahe. When the workers or the subordinate is coming with some good ideas or suggestion. So it is in the last one, right? Lack of proper incentive, you can see where it is in the personal barrier. So you should know the theory. Then only you will be able to understand these type of questions. Again, here there are various cases. You can see following communication indicate barriers to effective communication. Identify them and also mention the measures to be taken to improve the effectiveness of communication. What are the measures you can take to improve this effectiveness of communication? First one, the national sales manager during his visit to Southern Zone spoke to the sales managers in Hindi. National sales manager, वो ना काम पे गए southern zone में, तो there people will not be able to understand Hindi. So he spoke there to the sales manager in Hindi. वो हिंदी में बात कर रहे हैं. So what will come? Semantic barrier it will be coming. So here what can be the reason or the faulty translation? है ना, इधर faulty translation आएगा. What he is speaking in Hindi, then he should get into his South Indian language. That language may we have to communicate. So faulty translation can happen. So following communication indicate barriers to effective communication. So which barriers will identify them? So which barrier? First you will write semantic barrier. Semantic में क्या आएगा? Faulty translation. You will be writing in that way. Next one. During a meeting, the manager was addressing to the problem of competitors' pricing policy. Okay, the two executives were busy talking to each other. His manager is very, deeply explaining about the competitors' pricing policy. Two people are sitting and simply talking, the executives, about their plans for the upcoming long weekend. The manager got distracted and forgot to inform the major changes in the company's pricing policy. So by their communication, who got distracted? Manager. So manager ko the distraction ho gaya, and he forgot to inform the subordinate or in the meeting about the major changes in the company's pricing policy. What comes here? Lack of attention, right? So what is that? You will write psychological. It affected psychologically the manager. So because he was not able to focus, lack of attention will come. So you will write psychological barrier and lack of attention. दोनों आपको लिखना पड़ेगा. Psychological barrier and lack of attention. Mohit prefers to stay away from his boss. Third one. He is always scared of what is his boss does not approve his suggestions. He is always scared of what? If his boss does not approve his suggestion. वो सोच रही कि if his boss won't approve the suggestion, what can happen? Mohit prefer to stay away. वो कभी भी ना जाना नहीं चाहते boss के पास, always scared है. So what is? Is called fear of authority. Fear of authority will come under personal barrier. वो डरता है अपना manager से. ठीक है ना? So you should know the theory very well. Then only you will be able to crack this type of case study. Number D, the sales manager, while addressing to fresh graduate, explained the threat and opportunities of the company was facing. He said, what are the opportunities? Meanwhile, what are the threats of the company? He used a lot of technical words, which he had learned in his MBA class. There he was using so many words, technical words, which he already learned in MBA classes, right? So here what can come? This will be technical jargon, and technical jargon will be where? It will be a part of semantic barriers. I hope you are able to understand this. You can see that in the technical jargon will be coming in the, because technical words means technical jargon. Okay. Next, last one. Sonu Garments Limited follows scalar chain very strictly. Scalar chain means from the top level. First level, the message will go to second level. If there are 5 levels, then second to third, third to fourth, fourth. So they follow very strictly this. No employee, whatsoever may be the emergency, is allowed to divert from the defined path of any emergency. They cannot follow the scalar chain. They cannot gangplank. In scalar chain, you know what is gangplank? You already learned this. Suppose the scalar chain will be this way. Okay. In this way, there are various organizational other heads will be there, right? And in emergency, what can happen? Here, A, B, C is here. Here, next level will be D, then will be E, then will be. So normally it will go from F to E, E to D, and a D to A, B, C like that. But here in emergency, A can directly go to F also. This is called gangplank. Okay, na? But where we are following very strictly, if we follow the policy very strictly, this gangplank will not be there. They cannot break the hierarchical level. So the same is here also. So what they are not supposed to, they follow strictly, very strictly defined path of communication. Because of which, you know that definitely this is organizational barrier to communication. In that, what is that? Organizational policy. Organizational policy, that will be definitely. Okay. You can see, I'll show you the chart. Organizational policy, the first one. Strictly they have to follow, they cannot break. Okay. Rules and regulations, strictly they follow the rules and regulations only. Organizational policy, rules and regulations are different. Organizational policy means they cannot break that defined path of communication. I hope you are clear with all this. Coming into the next one, Subramaniam is a newly appointed human resource manager in Times Limited in Punjab. He is a Tamilian basically. He is good in Tamil and English. Most of his subordinates belong to Punjab and they are not very much fluent in English. He feels it much difficult to make them understand his instructions. Identify the concerned communication barrier. What will be the concerned communication barrier? Yes, the concerned communication barrier will be semantic barrier, no doubt in that, because from Tamil to Punjab. State the category of such barrier. So here, yes, here identify the concerned communication barrier is faulty translation. Sorry, that is faulty translation hoga na. And again, category mein what will come? Semantic barrier. Category mein you will get semantic barrier. Explain any other category of same barrier. Other category mein you can explain psychological, or you can explain organizational, or you can explain personal barrier. Any you can explain. Okay. But here it is mentioned same barrier, not of category of same barrier. है ना? Category of same barrier है तो barrier of effective communication and same barrier बोला है, not the types बोला नहीं है. So you can explain what? Category of such barrier and same barrier. Same barrier है तो what will you explain? You can explain technical jargon, you can explain, or widely expressed message you can. So you can see that in the top out of these 6, our answer was technical, faulty translation was the answer. Then after that, you can explain other than this faulty translation, any 2 points you can explain. Any 2 point में badly expressed हो सकता है, simple with the different unclarified assumption, technical jargon. Technical jargon तो फिलहाल you will not explain. In the local areas में it will not affect, है ना? So that will not come. So I hope you are clear with whatever we discussed here. Identify the concerned communication barrier is faulty. From Tamil to Punjab. Which category? Semantic barrier. And explain other category of same barrier. Same barrier is semantic barrier. Uska other category, badly expressed message. Then what can come? Symbols with a different language, unclarified assumption, body language, and just decoding. All this can be. Technical jargon also you can explain. Even that also can be included. But if we take that, language issues. So take care and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.